3 in the morning, and I'm wide awake again, staring at the ceiling of our bedroom while Lila sleeps peacefully beside me. Jack Frawley, 38 years old, auto mechanic with grease permanently embedded under my fingernails, listening to my wife of 12 years breathe softly after another late night at the agency. The thing about insomnia is that it gives you time to think, too much time, and lately, my thoughts have been circling around the same nagging questions like vultures over something lifeless on the highway. Why does Lila smell like cologne when she comes home from these overnight work sessions? Why has she started locking her phone? And why, for the love of all that's holy, did our joint checking account show a charge for $200 at Romano's, the fancy Italian place downtown, on a night she claimed to be eating vending machine sandwiches at the office? I slip out of bed, careful not to wake her, and pad downstairs to my sanctuary, the basement man cave. It's nothing fancy, just a beat-up leather recliner, a small TV, and walls lined with my collection of vintage car magazines. But it's mine. The one place in this house where I can think without Lila's judgmental sighs or her mother's disapproving glances from the family photos on every surface. That's when I see it, sitting on my workbench like a smoking gun, a half-empty bottle of expensive wine. Chateau something or other with a price tag that would make my wallet weep. Lila hates wine, always has. Claims it gives her headaches. My hands shake slightly as I examine the bottle. 2 glasses worth missing, maybe 3. The cork has been pulled recently. I can tell because there are still tiny bits of it clinging to the opener we keep in the kitchen drawer. The same opener that was sitting right here on my workbench, next to this bottle that my wife definitely didn't drink alone. I hear footsteps upstairs. Lila's awake. "Jack, where are you?" Her voice carries that slightly annoyed tone she uses when I'm not where she expects me to be. "Down here," I call back, quickly shoving the wine bottle behind some paint cans. She appears at the top of the basement stairs, silhouetted against the hallway light. Even rumpled from sleep, Lila is beautiful. Auburn hair, green eyes, the kind of figure that still turns heads when we go out together, which we haven't done in months. "What are you doing down there? It's the middle of the night." "Couldn't sleep, just looking at some car magazines." She descends halfway down the stairs, far enough to see me but not far enough to notice anything suspicious. "You've been having trouble sleeping a lot lately. Maybe you should see someone about it." "Maybe." I keep my voice neutral, casual. "How was your late night at the office? Get that big presentation finished?" A pause, just a heartbeat too long. "Yeah, finally. Chad and I worked until almost midnight getting all the details sorted out." Chad. There's that name again. Chad Hart, the motivational speaker turned advertising executive who joined Lila's agency 6 months ago. Tall, muscular, the kind of guy who probably has inspirational quotes tattooed on his biceps. Lila mentions him constantly these days. Chad thinks this, Chad says that. Chad has such innovative ideas. "That's dedication," I say, "both of you staying so late." "Well, you know how it is. Big clients demand big results." She turns to go back upstairs. "Try to get some sleep, Jack. You look tired." After she disappears, I sit in my recliner and stare at the ceiling. The house settles around me with its familiar creaks and groans, sounds I've been listening to for 12 years. But tonight, they sound different. Tonight, they sound like whispers. I think about the wine bottle, about the charge at Romano's, about the way Lila's face lit up when she mentioned Chad's name, the same way it used to light up when she talked about me. That's when I remember her iPad. Lila's always been careless with technology. She syncs everything to everything, never bothers with separate passwords, trusts that I'm too technologically challenged to figure out her digital life. She's wrong about that. You don't spend 15 years fixing cars without learning how to troubleshoot systems, and modern cars are basically computers with wheels. The iPad is charging on the kitchen counter, right where she always leaves it. I pick it up with the reverence of a man handling evidence. The screen comes to life with a gentle swipe, no password required. Her Messages app opens automatically. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. And there it is, a conversation thread with Chad that makes my stomach drop through the floor. Chad: tonight was incredible. I can't stop thinking about your hands on me. Lila: same here. Jack is working late tomorrow. Want to come over? Chad: God, yes. I'll bring that wine you like. Lila: the expensive stuff? You're spoiling me. Chad: you deserve to be spoiled. Unlike some people, I know how to treat a woman. The messages go back weeks, months maybe. Explicit details about their encounters, complaints about me, plans for future meetings. My hands are steady as I scroll through them, but inside, something fundamental is shifting. The Jack Frawley who went to sleep tonight was a trusting husband with nagging suspicions. The Jack Frawley reading these messages is something else entirely. I hear the garage door opening, Lila leaving for work, right on schedule. But I'm not the same man she left behind. I screenshot everything, every message, every photo, every cruel joke at my expense. Then I do something I haven't done in years. I reactivate my old dating profile. Not because I want to date anyone, but because I want to send a message, and I know exactly who I want to send it to. Jenny Morrison, Lila's younger sister, 28, impulsive, works at a coffee shop downtown, and if I remember correctly, has never particularly liked her sister's husband choices. She also has a history of making questionable romantic decisions, according to Lila's frequent complaints. I update my profile with a recent photo, one where I don't look like a defeated middle-aged mechanic, and craft a message that's carefully casual. Hey Jenny, weird running into you on here. Small world, right? The response comes back within minutes. Jack? OMG, what are you doing on here? Don't tell Lila. Don't worry, I type back. What happens in the digital world stays in the digital world. Want to grab coffee sometime? I could use someone to talk to. Another quick response. Is everything okay? You sound different. Everything's fine. Just going through some changes. Good changes. I can practically see her curiosity through the screen. Jenny has always been the dramatic one in the family, the one who thrives on secrets and excitement. She's also been jealous of Lila's success, her marriage, her perfect life. At least that's what Lila always claimed. Coffee sounds good, Jenny finally responds. But this stays between us, right? Absolutely. I close the app and lean back in my kitchen chair. Outside, Mrs. Gibbs is already at her window across the street, coffee mug in hand, surveying the neighborhood like a general reviewing troops. She's been the unofficial neighborhood watch for 20 years, knows everyone's business before they know it themselves. Perfect. I wave at her through my window, and she waves back with the enthusiasm of someone who's just been handed front-row seats to the show of the century. Mrs. Gibbs loves drama, and something tells me I'm about to give her enough drama to last the rest of the year. My phone buzzes. A text from Lila. Working late again tonight. Don't wait up. I smile as I type back, no problem. I've got plans anyway. And for the first time in months, that's actually true. Sunday dinner at the Morrison house has been a monthly tradition for 12 years, ever since Lila and I got married. Her parents, Robert and Patricia Morrison, live in a colonial mansion in the expensive part of town, the kind of place where the landscaping costs more than most people's cars. They've never quite approved of their daughter marrying a mechanic, though they've been polite enough to keep their disapproval to a level of subtle disdain rather than outright hostility. Today feels different, though. Today, I'm walking into their pristine dining room with a pocket full of screenshots and a plan that's been brewing for 3 days. Jack, Patricia greets me with her usual air kiss, the kind that doesn't actually involve any physical contact. How lovely to see you. How's the garage? Busy as always, Mrs. Morrison. People keep driving cars, so I keep fixing them. She laughs politely. the way she always does when I make jokes about my profession. Like she's humoring a child who said something cute, but ultimately meaningless. Lila arrives 10 minutes later, apologizing profusely for being delayed at the office. She's wearing a new dress, something expensive and form-fitting that I've never seen before. Her hair is styled differently too, more sophisticated somehow. Sorry, she says, kissing her father's cheek and hugging her mother. Last-minute client crisis. You know how it is. Of course, dear, Patricia says. We understand how demanding your career is. The emphasis on your isn't subtle. Neither is the implication that my career is somehow less demanding, less important. Jenny arrives last, as always. She's wearing jeans and a vintage band t-shirt, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. The contrast between the sisters is stark, Lila polished and professional, Jenny deliberately casual and slightly defiant. Hey everyone, Jenny says, then catches my eye. Hi, Jack. There's something in her voice, a warmth that wasn't there before our coffee date yesterday. During that conversation, I'd been careful, strategic. I hadn't revealed everything, just enough to plant seeds of doubt about her sister's perfect marriage. Jenny, as I'd suspected, was more than ready to hear that Lila's life wasn't as flawless as it appeared. We settle around the dining room table, the same seats we've occupied for over a decade. Robert at the head, Patricia at the foot, Lila and I on one side, Jenny across from us. The familiar ritual of Sunday dinner begins. Patricia's pot roast, Robert's stories about his real estate business, Lila's updates on her latest advertising campaigns. So, Jack, Robert says, carving the roast with surgical precision. Still working on that promotion to shop manager? It's a loaded question. Robert knows perfectly well that I own the garage, have owned it for 5 years. But he likes to pretend I'm just an employee, someone with limited prospects and smaller dreams. Actually, business has been great, I say. Thinking about expanding, maybe opening a second location. Lila looks surprised. This is the first she's hearing about expansion plans, probably because I just made them up. But the lie serves its purpose. It shifts the dynamic slightly, makes me sound like someone with ambition instead of just someone who fixes things. That's wonderful, Patricia says, though her tone suggests she finds it anything but wonderful. Such an ambitious undertaking. Well, you know what they say, I reply. Sometimes you have to take risks to get what you really want. I'm looking directly at Lila when I say this, and she shifts uncomfortably in her chair. Speaking of taking risks, I continue, pulling out my phone, I did something interesting this week. Reactivated my old dating profile. The silence that follows is profound. Patricia's fork stops halfway to her mouth. Robert's eyebrows climb toward his hairline. Jenny's eyes widen with what looks like panic. Your what? Lila's voice is carefully controlled, but I can hear the edge underneath. My dating profile. You know, from before we got married. I was curious to see if it was still there, and it was. Amazing what you can find in the digital world these days. Jack, Lila says, her voice getting sharper. What exactly are you trying to say? Oh, nothing dramatic. Just that it's interesting who you run into online. Small world and all that. I glance at Jenny, who looks like she wants to disappear under the table. You'd be surprised how many people you know are out there looking for connections. Robert clears his throat. Perhaps we should change the subject. Actually, I say, setting my phone on the table, I think this is exactly the right subject. See, I've learned some fascinating things this week. About connections, about honesty, about what people really do when they think nobody's watching. Lila's face has gone pale. Jack, whatever you think you know, I know about Chad. The words hang in the air like smoke from a fire. Patricia gasps audibly. Robert's knuckles whiten around his carving knife. Jenny stares at me with a mixture of horror and fascination. I know about Romano's restaurant. I know about the wine. I know about the late nights that aren't really late nights at the office. I pick up my phone and swipe to the screenshots. I know about the messages. You went through my phone? Lila's voice cracks slightly. Your iPad, actually. The one you leave on the kitchen counter every night, synced to all your accounts. The one you never bothered to password protect because you assumed I was too stupid to figure out how technology works. I turn the phone so everyone can see the screen. The explicit messages between Lila and Chad are clearly visible, complete with hearts and romantic emojis. Jack, Robert says, his voice stern, this is hardly appropriate dinner conversation. You're right, I agree. It's not appropriate at all. But then again, neither is lying to your family for months while you carry on with some motivational speaker who probably has live, laugh, love tattooed on his chest. Jenny suddenly speaks up, her voice quiet but clear. I've seen him. Everyone turns to look at her. Chad, she continues, gaining confidence. I've seen him around town, with other women, different women. Lila's face goes through several expressions in rapid succession: shock, denial, anger, and finally, something that looks like fear. That's impossible, she says. Chad would, Jenny interrupts. Because that's what guys like Chad do. They collect women like trophies, tell each one she's special, make each one think she's the only one. How would you know? Lila snaps. Jenny's smile is sharp as a blade. Because I was one of them. 3 months ago, before you started your little affair. He picked me up at the coffee shop, told me I was beautiful, different from other women he'd met, took me to Romano's, ordered expensive wine, made me feel special for exactly 1 night before he disappeared. The revelation hits Lila like a physical blow. She actually rocks back in her chair, her face cycling through disbelief and rage. You're lying, she whispers. Am I? Jenny pulls out her own phone, swipes through some screens, then slides it across the table. Same restaurant, same wine, same lines about how special I was. I look at the photos on Jenny's phone, pictures of her and Chad at Romano's, the same restaurant where he took Lila, probably the same table, the same bottle of expensive wine I found in my basement. My God, Patricia breathes. Lila, is this true? Are you really having an affair? Lila looks around the table, seeing the judgment in her parents' eyes, the satisfaction in her sister's face, the cold calculation in mine. For the first time since I've known her, she looks genuinely defeated. It's not what you think, she says weakly. It's exactly what I think, I reply. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Robert sets down his carving knife with deliberate precision. I think, he says slowly, that you two need to work this out privately. This family has always valued discretion. Discretion? I laugh, and it comes out harsher than I intended. Your daughter has been sneaking around with a man who's apparently working his way through every woman in town, and you're worried about discretion? Jack, Patricia says, her voice icy. There's no need to be crude. Crude? Lady, I haven't even gotten started on crude. You want to know what's crude? Finding out your wife thinks you're boring in bed by reading her text messages to another man? You want to know what's crude? Discovering that the woman you've supported for 12 years has been planning to leave you for a guy who treats women like a hobby. Lila finally finds her voice. I never said I was leaving you. No, I agree, pulling up another screenshot. But you did say, and I quote, once I figure out how to get Jack out of the house, we can be together properly. End quote. The silence stretches on until Jenny breaks it with a low whistle. Wow, Lila. Even for you, that's cold. Shut up, Jenny, Lila snaps. You're just jealous because... Because what? Because I didn't marry a good man and then cheat on him with a serial womanizer? Yeah, I'm really jealous of that. I stand up, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Well, this has been enlightening. Thank you for dinner, Mrs. Morrison. The roast was excellent, as always. Jack, Robert says, Perhaps we should discuss this like adults. I am discussing it like an adult, I reply. An adult who's tired of being treated like a fool. An adult who's done pretending everything is fine when it's clearly not. I head toward the door, then pause and turn back to the table. Oh, and Lila? That big presentation you're working on with Chad? The one that's keeping you out so late? You might want to check with HR about the company's policy on workplace relationships. I hear they're pretty strict about that sort of thing. I leave them sitting there in stunned silence, Patricia clutching her pearls, Robert staring at his ruined roast, Jenny trying not to smile, and Lila looking like someone who's just realized the ground beneath her feet has turned to quicksand. As I walk to my truck, I can see Mrs. Gibbs watching from her window across the street. She waves enthusiastically, and I wave back. By tomorrow morning, half the neighborhood will know that Jack Frawley finally grew a backbone. The other half will know by noon. Monday morning at Frawley's Auto Repair starts like any other day. I'm under the hood of a 2018 Honda Civic by 7 a.m., my hands already black with grease, the familiar smell of motor oil and metal filling my nostrils. But everything feels different now. The weight of secrets has lifted from my shoulders, replaced by something sharper, more focused. Bobby Martinez, my best friend and head mechanic, rolls out from under a Ford F-150 with a grin on his face. So, he says, wiping his hands on a rag, Mrs. Gibbs called my wife at 6 this morning, said there was quite a scene at the Morrison house yesterday. I should have known. Mrs. Gibbs has a network of information that would make the CIA jealous. Every housewife, retiree, and part-time worker in a 5-block radius reports to her, and she distributes the news with the efficiency of a military operation. Mrs. Gibbs needs a hobby, I say, but I'm smiling. Come on, man. Spill. What happened? I tell him everything, about finding the messages, about confronting Lila at dinner, about Jenny's revelation that Chad has been playing the field like a professional athlete. Bobby listens with the rapt attention of a man watching his favorite TV show. Holy crap, he says when I finish. So, what's the plan? Plan? Don't give me that innocent act. I've known you for 15 years, Jack Frawley. You don't just expose someone's affair and walk away. You're planning something. He's right, of course. I've been planning since I walked out of that dining room. The old Jack would have filed for divorce, split everything 50-50, and spent the rest of his life wondering what went wrong. But the old Jack was naive. The old Jack believed in fairness and playing by the rules. The new Jack has different ideas. I want to know more about Chad, I tell Bobby. Everything. Where he lives, what he drives, where he hangs out. I want to know his patterns, his habits, his weaknesses. Bobby's grin gets wider. Now you're talking. What do you need me to do? Help me follow him. Tonight after work, I want to see what Mr. Motivational Speaker does when he thinks nobody's watching. Count me in. This is better than cable TV. The rest of the day drags by with excruciating slowness. I fix a transmission, replace brake pads, change oil, and perform a dozen other routine tasks, while my mind churns with possibilities. Lila doesn't call or text, which tells me she's either planning her own strategy or hoping this will all blow over if she ignores it long enough. She's wrong about that. At 5:30, Bobby and I climb into his pickup truck and drive to the downtown advertising agency where Lila works. The building is all glass and steel, the kind of modern architecture designed to look innovative and forward-thinking. We park across the street with a clear view of the employee parking garage. There, Bobby says, pointing to a red Mustang convertible emerging from the garage. That's got to be him. The car screams midlife crisis. It's a vintage model, probably from the late 60s, restored to showroom condition and polished to a mirror shine. The kind of car a man buys when he wants everyone to know he's still virile and exciting. We follow at a distance as the Mustang winds through downtown traffic. Chad drives aggressively, weaving between lanes, accelerating through yellow lights, the automotive equivalent of a peacock displaying its feathers. He doesn't go home. Instead, he pulls into the parking lot of a chain restaurant on the outskirts of town, the kind of place that advertises happy hour specials and has too many televisions showing sports. We park 3 rows away and watch as Chad gets out of his car. He's exactly what I expected. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a suit that probably cost more than most people make in a week. His hair is perfectly styled, his teeth are unnaturally white, and he moves with the confidence of a man who's never been told no. "Look at this guy," Bobby mutters. "He's like a walking advertisement for protein powder." We watch Chad enter the restaurant, then wait 5 minutes before following. The place is crowded with after-work professionals, the noise level high enough to provide good cover. We take a table near the back with a clear view of the bar area. Chad is already in full swing, talking to a blonde woman in a business suit. His body language is textbook pickup artist, leaning in close, touching her arm when he laughs, maintaining intense eye contact. The woman seems receptive, laughing at his jokes, playing with her hair. "This is educational," I tell Bobby. "Guy's got a system," Bobby agrees. Wonder how often he does this. We get our answer when Chad's phone buzzes. He checks it, frowns, then excuses himself from the blonde. He answers the call as he walks toward the restroom area, but we're close enough to hear fragments of the conversation. "Can't tonight. Something came up. Tomorrow. I promise. You know you're the only one." When he returns to the bar, the blonde is gone. Chad looks around, confused, then checks his phone again. Another call, another hushed conversation, another promise to someone else. "Strike 2, Bobby observes. Chad tries again with a brunette at the other end of the bar. Same approach, same lines, same confident smile. This time, it works. They leave together after an hour, Chad's arm around her waist as they walk to his precious Mustang. "Well," I say, pulling out my phone to take pictures of Chad and his new companion. That was enlightening. What now? Now we find out where he lives. Following them is easy. Chad drives to an upscale apartment complex on the north side of town, the kind of place with a gym, a pool, and rent that costs more than most people's mortgages. We park outside the gates and watch as Chad and the brunette disappear into the building. "Nice place," Bobby says. "Must pay well to be a professional liar." I'm studying the layout of the complex, noting the security cameras, the landscaping, the placement of the parking areas. Ideas are forming, plans taking shape. "Bobby," I say, "how would you feel about a little creative automotive maintenance?" "On that Mustang? I'd feel great about it. What did you have in mind?" I tell him my idea, and his grin gets so wide I'm worried his face might split in half. "That's diabolical," he says. "I love it. It has to be subtle, something that won't cause an accident, won't hurt anyone, but will definitely make a statement. Trust me, I know exactly what to do." We drive back to the garage to gather supplies. Bobby is practically bouncing with excitement as he assembles his toolkit, not the usual wrenches and screwdrivers, but more specialized equipment. A slim gym for getting into locked cars, a small container of raw shrimp from the seafood restaurant next door, and various other items that would look innocent individually, but together spell revenge. "This is going to be beautiful," Bobby says, hefting a bag of what looks like bird seed. "Absolutely beautiful." Tuesday morning, we're back at the apartment complex, bright and early. Chad's Mustang sits in its assigned spot like a red beacon of masculine insecurity. The parking garage is mostly empty at 7 a.m., the perfect time for a little automotive modification. Bobby works with the efficiency of a professional, though technically this is far outside his usual job description. He's inside the car within 30 seconds, the hood up within a minute. What he does next is a masterpiece of creative sabotage. The shrimp go into the air conditioning vents, carefully placed where they won't be immediately visible, but will definitely make their presence known once the car heats up. The birdseed gets scattered under the seats and in the trunk, an invitation to every pigeon, crow, and seagull in the city. And finally, Bobby's piece de resistance, a small modification to the horn that will cause it to beep randomly at unpredictable intervals. How long before he notices? I ask. The shrimp? About 2 hours in this heat. The birds? By this afternoon. The horn? Could be any time. Bobby closes the hood and steps back to admire his work. And the best part is, none of it will show up on a casual inspection. He'll think he's going crazy. We're back at the garage by 8:30, just as my phone starts buzzing with text messages from Lila. We need to talk. This is ridiculous. You're being childish. Call me. I delete them without responding. Let her wonder what I'm planning next. Let her imagination run wild with possibilities. Around 10 a.m., Mrs. Gibbs calls the garage. She never calls the garage. "Jack, dear," she says, her voice quivering with excitement. "I just wanted to let you know that Lila came by the house this morning. She was asking if I'd seen you doing anything unusual lately." "What did you tell her?" "I told her that you seemed like a man with a purpose. She didn't seem to like that very much." I can picture Lila's face when she heard that. Mrs. Gibbs has a talent for saying exactly the thing that will cause the most anxiety. "Thank you, Mrs. Gibbs. I appreciate you letting me know." "Oh, and Jack? That young man she's been seeing? The one with the fancy car? He was parked outside Romano's restaurant yesterday, arguing with someone on his phone. Looked very upset about something. The pieces are falling into place. Chad's carefully constructed world of multiple relationships is starting to crack under pressure. Between Jenny's revelation at Sunday dinner and whatever other complications he's dealing with, Mr. Smooth is beginning to show some rough edges. Perfect. My phone buzzes with a call from an unknown number. I answer it cautiously. "Jack?" It's Jenny's voice. "Can you talk?" "Sure. What's up?" "I've been thinking about Sunday dinner, about what you said, about Chad and the other women." She pauses. "I want to help." "Help with what?" "Whatever you're planning. I know you're planning something, and I want to be part of it. Lila has been the golden child our whole lives, never had to face consequences for anything. It's about time someone held her accountable." There's something in Jenny's voice, a hunger for revenge that matches my own. I realize that this isn't just about helping me. This is about Jenny finally getting back at the sister who's always overshadowed her. "What did you have in mind?" "I still have Chad's number. I could call him, tell him I want to see him again. Set up a meeting somewhere public, somewhere Lila might happen to show up." "That's risky. If Lila finds out you're involved..." "Let me worry about Lila. The question is, are you interested in making this more complicated for both of them?" I think about it for exactly 3 seconds. Very interested. Wednesday afternoon, I'm installing new brake pads on a Toyota Camry when my phone starts buzzing like an angry wasp. 3 calls in rapid succession, all from Lila. I let them go to voicemail, but the 4th call comes from the garage's landline. She's calling the business number, which means she's desperate. "Frawley's Auto Repair," I answer in my most professional voice. "Jack, thank God. We need to talk, now." "I'm working, Lila. Some of us have jobs that require us to actually show up and do things." "Don't be sarcastic. This is serious. Something's wrong with Chad's car and he thinks you did something to it." I have to bite my lip to keep from laughing. Bobby's sabotage is working faster than we expected. "Chad's car? Why would I know anything about Chad's car? I've never even met the guy." "Because you're a mechanic, and suddenly his car is making weird noises and smells terrible, and the horn keeps going off at random times. He's convinced someone tampered with it. Sounds like he needs a good mechanic. I could recommend someone." "Jack, I'm serious. If you did something..." "If I did something, what? You'll leave me for a motivational speaker with car trouble?" "Too late, sweetheart. That ship has already sailed." There's a long pause. Then Lila's voice comes back smaller, more vulnerable than I've heard it in years. Jack, please, can we just talk, face to face? I know I messed up, but we can fix this. Where? The Moose and Squirrel, tonight at 7. Just you and me. The Moose and Squirrel is the local dive bar, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone else's business and the gossip flows as freely as the beer. It's also Tony Castellano's territory, and Tony has been collecting neighborhood secrets for 30 years. If Lila wants to have a public conversation, I'm more than happy to oblige. Fine, 7 o'clock. I hang up and immediately call Jenny. Change of plans, I tell her. Lila wants to meet tonight. Are you still up for making things interesting? Absolutely. What do you need me to do? Call Chad. Tell him you've been thinking about him since Sunday dinner, that you want to give him another chance. Suggest meeting at the Moose and Squirrel around 7:30. You want them both there at the same time? I want everyone there at the same time. This whole thing has been happening in shadows and secret messages. Time to bring it into the light. Jenny's laugh is sharp with anticipation. This is going to be epic. The Moose and Squirrel at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday is exactly what you'd expect from a neighborhood bar that's been serving the same customers for decades. The lighting is dim, the music is classic rock played at a volume that encourages conversation, and the smell of fried food mingles with beer and old wood. Tony Castellano presides over it all from behind the bar like a benevolent dictator, knowing everyone's drink preferences and most of their personal problems. Lila is already there when I arrive, sitting in a corner booth with a glass of white wine that she's barely touched. She's dressed down for once, jeans and a sweater instead of her usual business attire, but she still looks out of place among the mechanics, construction workers, and retirees who make up Tony's regular clientele. Thank you for coming, she says, as I slide into the booth across from her. Wouldn't miss it. Tony appears at our table with a beer for me before I even ask. He's a big man with silver hair and intelligent eyes that miss nothing. Jack, good to see you. The usual? Thanks, Tony. He nods at Lila with polite neutrality, then retreats to give us privacy. But I know he's listening. Tony's always listening. I don't know where to start, Lila says, her fingers nervously turning her wedding ring. How about the beginning? When did you decide I wasn't enough anymore? She flinches like I've slapped her. It wasn't like that, it just happened. Chad was new at the agency and he was charming and he made me feel what? Alive. Excited. Like I was more than just someone's wife who fixes cars for a living. Someone's wife who fixes cars. That's how you see me? That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant. You've always been embarrassed by what I do, haven't you? Your parents certainly are. All those years of Sunday dinners where they talk about your career and ask me about my little garage like it's a hobby instead of a business. Lila's face flushes. My parents can be snobs, but that doesn't mean... It doesn't mean what? That you don't agree with them? Come on, Lila. When's the last time you told someone you were proud of your husband? When's the last time you introduced me as anything other than Jack? He fixes cars. She opens her mouth to respond, then closes it again. The silence stretches between us like a chasm. I thought so, I continue. So when this Chad character showed up with his fancy suit and his motivational speaker routine, you saw your chance to trade up. It wasn't about trading up. It was about feeling appreciated. Appreciated? I've been appreciating you for 12 years. I've supported your career, listened to your problems, put up with your parents' condescension, and never once complained when you worked late or traveled for business. But that wasn't enough, was it? You needed someone who could take you to expensive restaurants and tell you how special you are. Tears are starting to form in Lila's eyes. Jack, please. I know I made a mistake, a huge mistake, but we can work through this. We can go to counseling, start over, do whatever it takes. Start over? With what? The trust is gone, Lila. The respect is gone. How do we start over when I know you think I'm boring and beneath you? I never said you were beneath me. I pull out my phone and scroll to one of the screenshots. Really? Because according to this message to Chad, I'm, quote, a simple man with simple dreams who will never understand what I need. End quote. Her face goes white. You weren't supposed to see that. No, I wasn't. I was supposed to keep being the faithful husband while you figured out how to get rid of me without losing half your assets. That was the plan, right? Before she can answer, the bar's front door opens and Chad Hart walks in. Even in the dim lighting, he's unmistakable, tall, confident, scanning the room like he owns it. His eyes find Lila immediately, and his expression shifts from confusion to anger when he sees me sitting across from her. Well, I say, raising my beer in a mock toast, look who's here. Chad approaches our table with the swagger of a man who's used to getting his way. Up close, he's even more ridiculous than I imagined. Perfect teeth, perfect hair, a cologne that probably costs more per ounce than my truck payment. You must be Jack, he says, not offering to shake hands. I've heard a lot about you. I'll bet you have. All of it from my wife, who you've been sleeping with for the past few months. Chad has the grace to look slightly uncomfortable, but he recovers quickly. Look, this is an awkward situation for everyone. Maybe we should handle this like adults. Adults? You mean like adults who don't sneak around behind people's backs? Like adults who don't lie to their spouses and co-workers? Those kinds of adults? Jack, Lila says, her voice pleading, please don't make a scene. Make a scene, sweetheart. The scene was made when you decided to cheat on your husband with Mr. Wonderful here. I'm just providing the soundtrack. The bar has gotten quieter, not silent. Tony's customers are too polite for that. But conversations have dropped to whispers, and I can feel eyes turning in our direction. This is exactly what I wanted. Chad slides into the booth next to Lila, a gesture that's probably meant to show solidarity but comes across as possessive. Look, Jack, I understand you're upset, but Lila and I have something real, something special. Maybe it's time to accept that and move on. Something real? Is that what you call it? I lean back in my seat, enjoying myself now. Tell me, Chad, how many something specials do you have going at once? His confident expression flickers slightly. I don't know what you mean. Sure you do. Like the blonde at Romano's last night, or the brunette you took back to your apartment, or... I pause for dramatic effect. Jenny Morrison. Lila's head snaps around to stare at Chad. What about Jenny? Nothing, Chad says quickly. I don't know what he's talking about. Really? Because Jenny seemed pretty clear about your dinner date 3 months ago. Same restaurant, same wine, same lines about how special she was. That's impossible, Lila whispers, but her voice lacks conviction. The bar's front door opens again, and Jenny walks in right on cue. She's dressed to impress. Tight jeans, low-cut top, makeup applied with precision. She scans the room, spots our table, and walks over with a smile that could cut glass. Chad, there you are. I was starting to think you'd changed your mind about meeting me. The silence at our table is deafening. Chad looks like a man who's just realized he's walked into a trap. Lila stares at her sister with growing horror, and I sit back to enjoy the show. Jenny, Chad says carefully, I think there's been some confusion. Confusion? About what? You called me this afternoon, said you wanted to see me again, that you'd been thinking about our night together. Jenny slides into the booth next to me, forcing Chad to move closer to Lila. You said you made a mistake letting me go. I never called you, Chad says, but his voice lacks conviction. Jenny pulls out her phone, scrolls through her call log, and shows the screen to everyone at the table. Really? Because I have a record of a 20-minute conversation at 3:15 this afternoon. Chad's face cycles through several expressions before settling on trapped desperation. Okay, maybe I called, but it wasn't. I didn't say. What exactly did you say? Lila's voice is ice cold. He said he missed me, Jenny continues, clearly enjoying herself. He said he'd been thinking about me ever since our night together. He said you were just a distraction, but I was the real thing. That's a lie! Chad's composure finally cracks completely. I never said any of that. Which part is the lie? I ask conversationally. The part about calling Jenny, or the part about Lila being just a distraction? The entire bar is listening now, not even pretending to have their own conversations. Tony has moved closer, ostensibly to wipe down tables, but really to get a better view of the drama unfolding in his establishment. Lila turns to face Chad, her eyes blazing. Is it true? Did you sleep with my sister? It was before we got serious, Chad says desperately. It didn't mean anything. Before we got serious? We've been together for 6 months. I mean before I knew it was going to be serious. Before I knew how I felt about you. Jenny laughs, a sound like breaking glass. Oh, that's rich. You told me the exact same thing about that blonde from your office. What was her name? Sandra? The one you said was just a friend? Chad's face goes completely white. How do you know about Sandra? Because Sandra and I had a very interesting conversation yesterday. Turns out she thought she was your girlfriend too. Amazing how many girlfriends you can have when you lie to all of them. Lila stands up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. I can't believe this. I can't believe I threw away my marriage for this. Lila, wait. Chad reaches for her arm, but she jerks away. Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again. She storms out of the bar, leaving Chad sitting alone in the booth, looking like a man who's just watched his world collapse. The entire bar watches her go, then turns back to stare at him with the collective judgment of a small-town jury. Well, I say, finishing my beer, this has been educational. Chad glares at me with pure hatred. You set this up. This whole thing was a setup. Was it? I just came here to have a conversation with my wife. You're the one who showed up uninvited. Jenny's the one who had a date with you. I stand up, tossing a 20 on the table. But you're right about one thing. This was definitely educational. I start to walk away, then pause and turn back. Oh, and Chad? You might want to get that car looked at. Sounds like you're having some mechanical problems. His face turns red with rage, but he doesn't say anything. What can he say? In the space of 30 minutes, he's lost his girlfriend, been exposed as a serial cheater, and been humiliated in front of an entire bar full of witnesses. As I walk toward the door, Tony catches my eye and nods approvingly. Mrs. Gibbs is going to love this story. Outside, Jenny is waiting by my truck, practically vibrating with excitement. That was amazing, she says. Did you see his face? Did you see Lila's face? I saw. Nice work in there. Very convincing performance. Performance. Jack, I wasn't performing. Everything I said was true. Chad really did call me this afternoon. Really did say all those things. I stare at her. What? I called him like you asked, but he called me back an hour later. Said he'd been thinking about our conversation, that maybe he'd made a mistake. He wanted to meet up. Said he was getting tired of Lila anyway. The implications hit me like a truck. So when you showed up tonight? I was coming to meet him, just like he asked. The fact that you and Lila were already here was just perfect timing. I start laughing, and once I start, I can't stop. The whole elaborate plan, the careful timing, the dramatic confrontation, and it turns out Chad really was stupid enough to call Jenny on the same day Lila wanted to reconcile. This is better than anything I could have planned, I finally managed to say. It gets better, Jenny says, pulling out her phone. I recorded the whole conversation this afternoon. Want to hear what Chad really thinks about your wife? I look at the phone, then at Jenny's eager face, then back at the bar where Chad is probably still sitting in stunned silence. Save it, I tell her. Something tells me we're going to need it later. Thursday morning brings 3 things. a thunderstorm that turns the streets into rivers, a phone call from Lila's lawyer, and the most satisfying cup of coffee I've had in 12 years. The lawyer, a woman named Patricia Hendricks, who sounds like she charges by the syllable, gets straight to the point. Mr. Frawley, my client would like to discuss an amicable separation. She's prepared to be quite generous in the settlement negotiations. Generous how? She's willing to let you keep the garage and the house in exchange for a clean break. No alimony, no contested assets, just a simple divorce decree. I almost laugh out loud. After months of planning to leave me, after being exposed as a cheater and humiliated in front of the entire neighborhood, Lila still thinks she has leverage. Tell your client I'll consider her offer. But first, I have some conditions of my own. What kind of conditions? I'll get back to you. I hang up and immediately call Jenny. She answers on the first ring, her voice bright with excitement. Please tell me you have good news. Better than good. Lila's trying to negotiate a quick divorce. She wants to cut her losses and run. What are you going to do? I'm going to give her exactly what she wants, but not until I'm finished with Chad. The plan that's been forming in my mind for the past week is finally ready to execute. It's ambitious, potentially risky, and absolutely perfect. But I need help, and I need someone with access to Chad's workplace. Jenny, do you still have contacts at the advertising agency? A few. Why? Because I want to give Chad the kind of motivational experience he'll never forget. Friday afternoon, Jenny calls with the intelligence I've been waiting for. Chad has a big presentation on Monday morning, something about a new client account that could make or break his career at the agency. He's been working overtime all week, staying late every night to perfect his pitch. Perfect. What's the security like in the building after hours? I ask. Pretty minimal. Keycard access to get in, but once you're inside, most of the offices are unlocked. Why? Because I want to leave Chad a little surprise for Monday morning. Saturday night, Bobby and I park outside the advertising agency building at 11 p.m. The streets are empty except for a few late-night stragglers heading home from the bars. The building's lobby is dark except for emergency lighting, and the security guard is nowhere to be seen. Jenny meets us at the back entrance, keycard in hand. I borrowed this from my friend Sarah, she says. She works in accounting, stays late sometimes. But we need to be quick. The security cameras are still recording. Getting into the building is surprisingly easy. The key card works perfectly, and within minutes we're riding the elevator to the 7th floor where Chad's office is located. The hallways are eerily quiet, lit only by the glow of exit signs and the occasional computer screen left running. Chad's office is exactly what I expected. Oversized desk, motivational posters on the walls, a bookshelf full of self-help titles and business philosophy books. His computer is locked, but that doesn't matter. What I'm planning doesn't require access to his files. Bobby opens his toolkit and gets to work. What we're doing isn't technically vandalism, more like creative redecorating. Every motivational poster gets a small addition, carefully crafted messages that will be visible only upon close inspection. The framed photo of Chad with various business leaders gets some new friends. Printed photos of Chad with his various romantic conquests, including several shots from his night at the restaurant with the brunette. The piece de resistance goes in his desk drawer, a manila folder labeled Personal Files, containing printed copies of every text message between Chad and Lila, Chad and Jenny, Chad and the mysterious Sandra, and several other women whose numbers Jenny found in his phone during their brief reconciliation call. "This is beautiful," Bobby whispers, arranging the photos on Chad's desk like a gallery exhibition. Absolutely beautiful. But we're not done yet. The final element of the plan requires a trip to Chad's precious Mustang in the parking garage. The car is exactly where we left it the previous week, though it's obvious Chad has had it professionally cleaned. The shrimp smell is gone, the bird seed has been vacuumed out, and the horn has been repaired. Chad probably spent a fortune getting his baby back to perfect condition. Time to ruin it again. This time, Bobby's sabotage is more artistic. Using washable paint that will come off eventually but not easily, he transforms the Mustang into a canvas for creative expression. The words cheater and liar appear on the sides in elegant script. The rear window gets a detailed list of Chad's known girlfriends, and the hood becomes a billboard advertising Chad's services as a motivational speaker and part-time heartbreaker. How long before this washes off? I ask. Couple weeks, maybe a month if he doesn't use the right solvent, but it won't damage the paint permanently. Perfect. We're back at the garage by 2 a.m., tired but satisfied. The trap is set, the stage is prepared, and Monday morning is going to be spectacular. Sunday passes quietly. Lila doesn't call, which tells me she's either planning her own strategy or has given up entirely. Mrs. Gibbs waves from her window when I check the mail, her expression suggesting she knows something interesting is about to happen. Jenny calls around noon with an update. Chad tried to reach me yesterday, she says. Left 3 voicemails apologizing for Wednesday night, saying he can explain everything. Are you going to call him back? Not a chance, but I did call Sandra. The blonde from his office? The same one. Turns out she's been collecting her own evidence of Chad's extracurricular activities. She's planning to file a complaint with HR on Monday morning. The pieces are falling into place with the precision of a Swiss watch. Chad's world is about to collapse from multiple directions simultaneously, and he has no idea what's coming. Monday morning, I'm at the garage by 6 a.m., too excited to sleep any longer. Bobby arrives 30 minutes later with coffee and donuts, grinning like a man who's about to watch his favorite movie. Think he's found the car yet? He asks. Probably not, but he will. My phone rings at 7:15. Jenny's voice is breathless with excitement. Jack, you have to get down here. Chad just arrived at the office, and he is losing his mind. What happened? He found his car in the parking garage and started screaming. I mean literally screaming. Security had to calm him down, and that's before he even gets upstairs to see his office. Are you there now? I'm in the lobby with about 20 other people watching through the windows. This is better than reality TV. I grab my keys and head for the door. Bobby, hold down the fort. I'll be back in an hour. Are you kidding? I'm coming with you. This is history in the making. The scene outside the advertising agency is surreal. A crowd has gathered in the parking garage, cell phones out, taking pictures and videos of Chad's decorated Mustang. Chad himself is standing next to the car, gesturing wildly while talking to a security guard who looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. Jenny appears at my elbow, practically vibrating with glee. He's been like this for 20 minutes, she whispers. Keeps saying someone's trying to ruin his life, that it's all a conspiracy. The security guard asked if he had any enemies, and Chad started listing names. Your name was first. I'm flattered. It gets better. Sandra showed up 10 minutes ago with a folder full of documents. She marched straight upstairs to HR without saying a word to anyone. Through the building's glass walls, we can see people gathering on the 7th floor, pointing and talking animatedly. Chad's office is clearly visible from the street, and even from this distance, we can see the chaos inside. Papers scattered, photos taped to windows, people coming and going with shocked expressions. Chad finally gives up on the security guard and storms into the building. The elevator ride to the 7th floor seems to take forever, but when the doors open, we can hear his voice echoing through the lobby. What the hell is this? The crowd outside presses closer to the windows. On the 7th floor, Chad has discovered his redecorated office. He's holding up photos, waving papers, shouting at anyone who will listen. A woman in a business suit, probably someone from HR, appears at his door with Sandra close behind. This is it, Jenny says. This is the end of Chad Hart. She's right. Within minutes, Chad is escorted from the building by security, a box of personal belongings in his arms, his face red with rage and humiliation. The crowd in the parking garage parts like the Red Sea as he approaches his vandalized car, cell phones capturing every moment of his downfall. He throws the box into the passenger seat, starts the engine, and speeds out of the parking garage with the desperation of a man whose world has just collapsed. The painted messages on his car are clearly visible as he drives away, advertising his shame to everyone on the street. "Well," I say, watching the Mustang disappear into traffic, "that was satisfying." Jenny turns to me with admiration in her eyes. "That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. How did you know Sandra would show up today?" "I didn't. But I figured if Chad was stupid enough to juggle multiple women at the same company, eventually one of them would get tired of it. Sandra just happened to be the first." My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. When I open it, I see a message that makes me smile. "This isn't over. You have no idea what you've started." It's from Chad, of course. The desperate threat of a man who's lost everything and has no idea how to get it back. I show the message to Jenny, who laughs out loud. "Should we be worried? About Chad? No, he's finished. His career is over, his reputation is destroyed, and his precious car looks like a rolling billboard for infidelity. What's he going to do? Challenge me to a motivational speaking contest?" But even as I say it, I'm already thinking about security cameras, about witnesses, about making sure Chad's inevitable revenge attempt is as public and humiliating as his downfall. Because this isn't over. Not yet. The final act is about to begin, and I want to make sure everyone has front row seats. Tuesday morning brings a phone call that changes everything. "Jack, it's Patricia Hendricks, Mrs. Frawley's attorney. My client would like to meet with you today. She has a proposition that might interest you." "What kind of proposition?" "She'd prefer to discuss it in person. Can you meet at my office at 2 p.m.? I agree, partly out of curiosity and partly because I want to see what Lila thinks she can offer me after everything that's happened. The law office is downtown, all polished wood and leather furniture, the kind of place designed to intimidate people into expensive settlements. Lila is already there when I arrive, sitting across from Patricia Hendricks with a folder of documents spread between them. She looks tired, older somehow, like the events of the past week have aged her years in days. "Jack," she says, not quite meeting my eyes. "Thank you for coming. Let's get to the point. What do you want?" Patricia Hendricks clears her throat. "My client is prepared to offer you a very generous settlement. The house, the garage, all joint assets, and a lump sum payment of $50,000 in exchange for a quick, quiet divorce." $50,000? Where would Lila get $50,000? Lila finally looks at me directly. "I've been saving. Money from bonuses, from freelance projects. I was going to use it to..." She trails off. "To what? Start a new life with Chad?" Her face flushes. "That's over, obviously." "Obviously. So now you want to pay me to disappear quietly, without making any more scenes that might damage your reputation. Jack, please. I know I hurt you. I know I made terrible mistakes. But we can end this civilly, can't we?" I lean back in the leather chair, studying her face. The woman across from me looks nothing like the confident, ambitious wife who left for work last Monday morning. This woman looks defeated, desperate. "What happened to Chad?" I ask. "He was terminated yesterday. Effective immediately. Something about inappropriate workplace conduct and violation of company policies. And his other girlfriends? I wouldn't know. I haven't spoken to him since Wednesday night." Patricia Hendricks shuffles her papers impatiently. "Mr. Frawley, this is a very generous offer. I'd advise you to consider it seriously." "I am considering it, but I have some questions first." I turn back to Lila. "Why now? Why the sudden rush to settle?" Lila exchanges a glance with her lawyer, then sighs. "Because Chad is unstable. He's been calling me, texting me, showing up at my office. He blames me for what happened, says I ruined his life by getting involved with you." "With me?" I didn't get involved with anything. I just found out what was already happening. Try telling him that. He's convinced you orchestrated some elaborate revenge scheme. He keeps talking about getting even, about making both of us pay. A chill runs down my spine. What kind of getting even? I don't know. He won't be specific, but Jack, he's angry, and he's got nothing left to lose. I think he might be dangerous. The irony isn't lost on me. Lila, who betrayed me with Chad, is now asking for my protection from the same man. But the concern in her voice seems genuine, and despite everything that's happened, I don't want to see her hurt. Have you called the police? And told them what? That my ex-lover is making vague threats? They can't do anything unless he actually does something. Patricia Hendricks leans forward. Which is why my client wants to resolve this matter quickly and quietly. The sooner you two are officially separated, the sooner Mr. Hart will hopefully move on to other concerns. I think about it for a long moment. The money would be useful, the quick divorce would save months of legal complications, and honestly, I'm ready to be done with this whole mess. But there's something else, something that's been nagging at me since this all started. I'll take your offer, I say finally, but I have one condition. What condition? Lila asks. I want Chad to know that you paid me to go away. I want him to know that you chose to end this marriage on your terms, not his. Lila's face goes pale. Jack, no. If he finds out about the money, he'll think I chose you over him. He'll think I'm still protecting you. Aren't you? She stares at me for a long moment, and I see something in her eyes that might be regret, or gratitude, or just exhaustion. Maybe I am. We signed the papers that afternoon. $50,000, the house, the garage, and my freedom in exchange for a signature and a promise to keep quiet about the circumstances of our divorce. It's more than fair, probably more than I deserve, but I take it anyway. That evening, I'm at the Moose and Squirrel celebrating my newfound wealth when Jenny slides into the booth across from me. So I heard you're officially a free man, she says. News travels fast. Mrs. Gibbs called my mother 20 minutes after you left the lawyer's office. Apparently someone saw you and Lila shaking hands on the sidewalk outside. I raise my beer in a mock toast. To Mrs. Gibbs, the most efficient intelligence network in the state. Jenny doesn't smile. Jack, there's something you need to know about Chad. The tone of her voice makes me set down my beer. What about him? He came by the coffee shop this afternoon. He looked bad, really bad. Like he hadn't slept in days, hadn't shaved, clothes all wrinkled. He kept asking questions about you, about where you live, what your schedule is like. What did you tell him? Nothing. But Jack, I'm worried. He seemed really unstable, like he was barely holding it together. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Enjoy your ill-gotten gains. This isn't over. I show the message to Jenny, who goes pale. That's from Chad? Has to be. No one else knows about the settlement. How would he know about the money? That's a good question, and the answer makes me uncomfortable. Either Lila told him, which seems unlikely given her fear of his reaction, or Chad has been watching us, following our movements, monitoring our communications. Jenny, I want you to be careful. If Chad is as unstable as you think, he might try to use you to get to me or Lila. I can take care of myself. I'm sure you can, but promise me you'll call if you see him again, if he contacts you, if anything seems off. She promises, but I can see the worry in her eyes. Chad Hart, the smooth-talking motivational speaker, has become something else entirely. A desperate man with nothing left to lose and a growing obsession with revenge. Wednesday passes quietly. I work on cars, deposit my settlement check, and try to pretend that everything is normal. But I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched, that somewhere out there, Chad is planning something. The feeling proves justified when Bobby calls me at home Wednesday night. Jack, you need to get down to the garage, now. What's wrong? Just get down here and bring a camera. I drive to the garage with my heart pounding, expecting to find broken windows or vandalized equipment. Instead, I find Chad Hart's red Mustang parked directly in front of my building, blocking the entrance completely. The car is empty, but it's been transformed into a monument to obsession. Every surface is covered with photos, documents, and handwritten notes. Pictures of me, Lila, Jenny, even Mrs. Gibbs are taped to the windows. Copies of our divorce settlement, somehow obtained, are spread across the hood. And covering everything, written in what looks like red marker, are rambling messages about betrayal, revenge, and justice. "How long has it been here?" I ask Bobby. "I found it when I came back from dinner." "Maybe an hour?" "Where's Chad?" That's the question, isn't it? I walk around the car, taking pictures with my phone, documenting everything. The messages are increasingly incoherent, the handwriting becoming more erratic as they progress. This isn't the work of someone planning rational revenge. This is the work of someone having a complete breakdown. My phone rings. Unknown number. "Enjoying the art installation?" Chad's voice is slurred, like he's been drinking. "Where are you, Chad?" "Wouldn't you like to know?" "I'm watching, Jack. I'm always watching. You think you won, but you have no idea what you've started. Chad, listen to me. Whatever you're planning, it's not worth it. You need help." "Help? I needed help 6 months ago, before your wife decided to ruin my life. I needed help last week, before you destroyed my career. Now it's too late for help." The line goes quiet for a moment, then Chad's voice comes back, clearer and more focused. "You took everything from me, Jack. My job, my reputation, my future, so now I'm going to take everything from you." "Chad!" But he's already hung up. I immediately call the police, then Lila, then Jenny. The police promised to send a patrol car, but warn me that without specific threats or evidence of actual crimes, there's little they can do. Lila doesn't answer her phone. Jenny picks up on the first ring. "Jack? What's wrong?" "Chad's having some kind of breakdown. He's making threats, acting erratically. I want you to stay away from your apartment tonight. Go stay with friends or family." "I'm not at my apartment. I'm at Lila's." "What? Why?" "She called me an hour ago, crying, said Chad had been outside her building all afternoon. She was scared to be alone." My heart starts racing. "Jenny, get out of there, right now." "What? Why?" "Because if Chad is watching Lila's building, he knows you're there. He might think you're working together, that you're both part of some conspiracy against him." "Jack, you're scaring me." "Good. Be scared. Get Lila and get out of that apartment immediately. Go to a hotel, go to your parents' house, go anywhere but there." I hear voices in the background, then Jenny comes back on the line. "Lila says she's not leaving. She says this is her home, and she's not going to be driven out by some crazy ex-boyfriend. Put her on the phone." There's a pause, then Lila's voice, trying to sound calm but failing. "Jack, I appreciate your concern, but I'm not going to let Chad intimidate me. I've called building security, and they're keeping an eye on things." "Lila, building security isn't going to stop someone who's completely lost touch with reality. You need to leave. Now." "I'm not running away." "This isn't about running away. This is about staying alive." "What was that?" I ask. "I don't know. Jenny, did you hear?" The line goes completely silent. I'm in my truck and driving toward Lila's apartment building before I even realize I've moved. Bobby jumps in the passenger seat as I'm pulling out of the garage parking lot. "Where are we going?" "To stop a madman." The drive across town takes forever, and no time at all. Lila's building is a converted warehouse in the trendy part of downtown, all exposed brick and industrial windows. From the street, everything looks normal. Lights in various apartments, people walking their dogs, the usual evening activity. But when we get to the building's entrance, we find the security door propped open with a brick. "That's not good," Bobby mutters. We take the stairs to the 4th floor, where Lila's apartment is located. The hallway is eerily quiet, and the door to 4B is standing wide open. Inside, the apartment has been ransacked, furniture overturned, papers scattered everywhere, pictures torn from the walls, but no sign of Lila or Jenny. My phone buzzes with a text. Rooftop, come alone or they get hurt. I show the message to Bobby, who immediately starts dialing 911. Call the police, I tell him. Tell them we have a hostage situation at 412 Industrial Boulevard. Then wait for them downstairs and direct them to the roof. Jack, don't do this. Wait for the cops. If I wait, he might hurt them. I have to go up there. The stairwell to the roof is dark and narrow, each step echoing in the confined space. My heart is pounding so hard, I'm sure Chad can hear it from wherever he's waiting. At the top, I push open the heavy metal door and step onto the roof. The city spreads out below us, lights twinkling like stars. Chad is standing near the edge of the building, silhouetted against the night sky. Lila and Jenny are sitting on the ground nearby, their hands bound with what looks like electrical cord. Jack! Lila calls out when she sees me. Don't come any closer! He's completely lost it! Chad turns to face me, and I'm shocked by what I see. The polished, confident man from the restaurant is gone, replaced by someone wild-eyed and desperate. His clothes are torn, his face is scratched, and he's holding what looks like a knife. You came, he says, his voice eerily calm. I wasn't sure you would. Let them go, Chad. This is between you and me. Is it? Because it seems to me like everyone's been working together. Your wife, her sister, probably half the town, all of you conspiring to destroy my life. Nobody conspired against you. You destroyed your own life when you decided to cheat with multiple women simultaneously. Chad laughs, a sound with no humor in it. Cheat? I was exploring my options. I was living my life to the fullest. There's nothing wrong with that. There is when you lie to everyone involved. Everyone lies, Jack. The difference is, I'm honest about what I want. I wanted Lila. I wanted Jenny. I wanted Sandra. I was upfront about my desires. You were upfront? You told each of them she was the only one. Details. Chad waves the knife dismissively. The point is, I was living authentically, pursuing my dreams, until you decided to interfere. I take a step closer, trying to get between Chad and the two women. Chad, you need help. Professional help. This isn't rational behavior. Rational? You want to talk about rational? Is it rational to stay married to someone who doesn't appreciate you? Is it rational to work in a garage when you could be doing something meaningful with your life? Is it rational to settle for mediocrity when you could have excellence? There's nothing wrong with honest work. Honest work. Chad spits. You sound like a motivational poster from 1950. The world has moved on, Jack. Success belongs to people who take risks, who seize opportunities, who refuse to accept limitations. Like seizing other people's wives? Chad's face darkens. Lila came to me. She sought me out because she recognized what I had to offer. Vision, ambition, the courage to dream big. You offered her expensive dinners and empty promises. I offered her a future. A real future. Not this small town, small dreams existence you call a life. Behind Chad, I can see Lila and Jenny working at their bonds, trying to free themselves. I need to keep Chad talking, keep his attention focused on me. So what's the plan here, Chad? You tie up two innocent women and threaten them with a knife? How does that solve anything? It gets your attention. It makes you understand what you've cost me. What I've cost you. Chad, I didn't make you cheat on multiple women. I didn't make you lie to your coworkers. I didn't make you violate company policy. You did all of that yourself. I did what successful people do. I maximized my opportunities. You maximized your opportunities to hurt people. Chad raises the knife, and for a moment, I think he's going to charge at me. Instead, he turns toward Lila and Jenny. You want to see hurt? You want to see what real consequences look like? That's when I hear the most beautiful sound in the world, the wail of police sirens getting closer. Chad hears them too, and his face goes through a series of expressions: surprise, anger, and finally, resignation. You called the cops. Of course I called the cops. What did you expect? I expected you to face me like a man. One-on-one, no interference, no backup. This isn't a movie, Chad. This is real life, and in real life, when someone threatens innocent people with a weapon, you call for help. The sirens are getting louder now, and I can see flashing lights reflecting off the buildings around us. Chad looks around wildly, like a trapped animal searching for an escape route. This isn't over, he says, but his voice lacks conviction. Yes, it is. It's been over since the moment you decided to threaten my family. Your family? Lila isn't your family anymore. She's your ex-wife who paid you to disappear. She's still someone I care about. And Jenny never did anything to hurt you. Chad stares at me for a long moment, then at the knife in his hand, then at the two women behind him. Something in his expression shifts, and for a moment, I see not the desperate madman, but the broken man underneath. I had everything, he whispers. Career, respect, options, and now I have nothing. You can still turn this around. Put down the knife, let them go, and get the help you need. Help? From who? My career's over, my reputation is destroyed, and now I'll probably go to prison. Only if you don't stop this right now. The rooftop door bursts open, and police officers flood onto the roof, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Chad spins around, still holding the knife, and for a terrifying moment, I think he's going to do something irreversibly stupid. Instead, he drops the knife and raises his hands. I surrender, he says quietly. I surrender. The next few minutes are a blur of activity. Chad is handcuffed and led away, still muttering about conspiracies and injustice. Lila and Jenny are freed from their restraints and checked by paramedics. Police officers take statements, collect evidence, and ask endless questions. Through it all, I keep thinking about Chad's words. I had everything, and now I have nothing. The truth is, he never had anything real. He had the illusion of success, built on lies and manipulation. When that illusion collapsed, there was nothing left to hold him together. As the police cars drive away with Chad in custody, Lila approaches me on the now quiet rooftop. Thank you, she says simply. For what? For coming, for risking your safety to help us. After everything I did to you, you had every right to just walk away. I couldn't do that. Despite everything that's happened between us, I couldn't let you get hurt. She nods, tears in her eyes. I know, and I'm grateful. More grateful than you'll ever know. Jenny joins us, her arm around her sister's shoulders. So what happens now? She asks. Now? I look out over the city lights, thinking about the garage, about my new life as a single man, about the possibilities that lie ahead. Now we all try to move forward. We try to be better than we were. And Chad? Chad will face the consequences of his choices, just like the rest of us. As we head back downstairs, I realize that this really is the end. Not just of my marriage to Lila, but of the whole ugly chapter that began with discovering those text messages on her iPad. Chad will go to prison, Lila will rebuild her life, and I'll go back to fixing cars and living quietly in my small corner of the world. But I won't be the same man who went to sleep that night 3 weeks ago, trusting and naive. I'll be someone who understands that people are capable of both great betrayal and great kindness, sometimes within the same day. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. The last laugh, it turns out, belongs to all of us who choose to keep living, keep trying, keep believing that tomorrow might be better than today. Even when today has been pretty terrible. Especially then,